Hi, I'm Jack Broadbent. It's great to be here at Linea Rock. I'd like to say a big hello to all of your listeners and people watching online. Thank you very much.
Hi, Jack. Welcome to Linea Rock. Welcome to Milan. You're playing in our town tonight, so it's a pleasure for us to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so from Busker to master. The master of slide guitar, actually, as the Montreux Jazz Festival introduced you. You started very softly, slow and easy on the streets, and you made an album, and you're touring the world. Did you actually expect it, and was it ever your goal?
Well, I always dreamed to be doing this, and traveling the world is a dream for everyone, I guess. But being able to do it with music has been, a dream come true. And no, I didn't expect it.
Not at all.
Well, I've always played a lot of gigs, and I've always played in Europe quite a lot. But to get the chance to go and play in America and Japan and New Zealand, that's been icing on the cake.
All right. And when did you actually realize that this could become a real job for you?
It's been a real job for me since I was about 18. I've been either busking or gigging, and so it's just changed a lot recently,
okay. For good, I must say.
Yeah.
Okay, so you come from two opposite worlds, at least apparently opposite. You're a Busker who goes, back to the deep radical approach in music, but you became famous through the web, and which is the most modern of tools. How these two worlds collided for you?
Well, it was great because it was organic and it wasn't forced. It was a natural progression. It was I was playing so much on the street, busking so much in so many different places, and people would always film me playing.
Yeah.
And so I think it was just a matter of time before somebody filmed something in the right location with the right sound. And for me, it was in Amsterdam, mm-hmm. and it was the most perfect setting, for music, and also for it's nice for people to see a scenic scene of Amsterdam and some music, Yeah. But it could have been in New York, it could have been in London. So, but I love the fact that it was somebody who enjoyed the music. They filmed it, they put it on YouTube, and it exploded.
Yeah,
I didn't have to do anything. That's if you're talking about a modern approach to music and things, I don't think that's ever been able to happen before.
Right.
That the fans can put an artist
yeah.
into place rather than the other way around.
Of course, for you, this is a positive thing. But do you think that universally this is actually positive, or?
Yeah, I think it is positive, okay. Because I think that. Okay, so in the 60s and 70s, there's lots of great bands. You're wearing a Rolling Stones t-shirt,
yes, sure.
right now. Rolling Stones got signed to a record label and did what they did. Now, there must have been 100 bands in London that also could have done something, but only with those tools would they have ever had that platform. What I like about now is it's anyone with perseverance and good music can create a career.
Yeah.
Can create a job for themselves. I still don't have a record label through choice. I'm independent.
Yeah. And how did you very first started playing guitar? Did you actually start directly with slide guitar, or you made the whole classical approach? With acoustic guitar. What happened?
Yeah, well, my father's a musician, so I was going to a lot of gigs when I was younger, and obviously very excited by the idea of one day being involved in it. I was only 5, 6, 7
Wow.
years old, and I was seeing this,
Yeah.
pretty much every weekend, and I started to play the drums because I loved percussion and I loved rhythm and groove, and but my father's a bass player, so I also liked there was a lot of music in the house. He played the piano at home and stuff, and after a few years of playing the drums, I realized that what I really wanted to do was to write songs, and I loved to sing, and so I needed to decide on which instrument I thought best for this, and I just gravitated to the guitar rather than the piano, and taught myself, really. I'd ask my dad for a chord, and I'd use that chord and write a song, and then when I had written the song, I needed another chord so I could write the next one, and then I started to experiment with different tunings and things, and eventually that's what led me down the slide guitar avenue, which was probably only about 5 years ago.
Oh.
From using these different tunings and stuff, I realized that I could do some stuff.
And when the whiskey flask actually entered the scene and became your favorite tool?
It was quite quickly, actually. It was I used to use all kinds of different things, at parties. People would just on the table put 10 different objects, and I'd play with stuff for fun. And but one day I was in a pub in South London, and somebody who was working there went downstairs into the cellar and came back up with all these hip flasks, and I said, "Oh, I'd like that one there," and it was the perfect size, shape, and I can carry whiskey in it as well. So it's like it made sense to me at the time when you're playing outside in the cold, and
Yes, sure. And can we say that you were born Jack by fate, in considering that whiskey is so important for you?
Yeah, I drink scotch, though. I'm not much of a bourbon drinker.
All
but,
right. Okay. Maybe you should make your own. A lot of artists do wine, and so you could do that.
It's a dangerous game, though.
It is.
I don't know if I'd get past the tasting the section of it,
You're a phenomenal, strong cocktail of whiskey, blues, talent, and humility. Was it more a necessity or a choice for you?
To play?
Yes.
I have to play. Right now, I've got my hand. I broke my hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, look, can you see?
Oh my God! Yes,
yeah,
I see.
See this here? I did it in Japan 2 weeks ago. And I can still play because I don't use this finger to play. But if this wasn't something that I did for love, then I would be taking a break right now.
Sure.
But I'm still out playing, and that's how much I love it. I have to. And
you should put an insurance on your ends.
Yeah.
That's something you must do. And how would you describe your unique style and also your live performances?
Well, I guess I like to play solo because I like to have control.
All right.
But also because I like this, to play different instruments. For me, my style, I guess, I try to be rhythmic. I like percussion. I try to play bass lines at the same time as playing solo guitar lines. I like to try and mix guitar, bass, and drums in how I play and how I approach slide guitar. And in terms of the live performances, I just love blending this, Delta blues and this kind of heavy sound with some of my folk music and acoustic material too. I love the fact that I can have this kind of balance of two things.
So you play and sing as a solo artist, as a matter of fact, as you just said. Which are the pros and cons, of being a one-man band?
The pros are that you can only fall out with yourself. You don't have band arguments.
Okay.
There's no fighting in the dressing room. And I get to drink all the beer in the dressing room. It's all pros. There's no cons.
Really? Okay. That's good.
I think the only thing is that I think with traveling a lot, unless you have good people around you, it can be quite stressful. To travel alone can be quite testing. But I've got a wonderful little team of people around me, and so I love it.
So you're traveling the world a lot, so you still keep your contact with the road. But do you still play on the streets, or you get very much recognized? And if not, do you actually miss the street?
I don't play on the street as much anymore because usually I'm traveling and I have to play a show that night. So I don't want to, give it all away too early in the daytime. But sure. I have a very, very fond place in my heart for playing music on the street to people. There's nothing like it. It's in some ways it's more enjoyable than playing a show because it's so informal and it's just people can come and watch if they like it, and if they don't, then they don't watch. So it's a great audience every time. It's always a good audience.
Good. Do you own just Hofner guitars?
No, I've got I've got quite a few guitars now. I've got a resonator guitar that I got sponsored by a company called Leewald, and that's a really beautiful instrument. And also I've got some electric guitars too. But Hofner is my baby, that one in particular, the slide one is. There isn't another guitar on the planet that makes that noise.
Is that a particular model from which year?
Yeah, it's a Hofner Senator, and it's from 1965.
Wow!
And I have another Hofner that I use for acoustic stuff, which is a Hofner Congress, and that's also from 1965. So they are my twins.
All right. And is it in your dreams to have a signature model, maybe Hofner model?
It's not essential, but if they want to make me one, then great.
Okay, great.
I like old guitars, though. This is the only thing for me. New guitars, they don't seem to have the, old guitars. They have like an old soul.
Yeah.
They have a character to them that you just don't get with new guitars. So I think a signature model for me would have to be if they found some old 1965 Hofners and I'll sign them all.
Okay, that's a good point. And you have a very simple but particular setup. Your gear. Do you want to talk about it and explain? How actually did you arrive to use? Use it?
I still use the same setup that I used to use when I went busking. So I've got an amplifier that runs off batteries, and I plug my guitar directly into that, and then I plug the amplifier directly into the PA system. And I've done this everywhere from small venues to in America playing at the Greek Theatre and some of the biggest amphitheatres in America using this same busking setup. And I suppose it comes from the fact we have a phrase in England which is if it isn't broken, don't fix it.
Okay. And so you mentioned earlier that you actually always wanted to write your own music. But do you remember the precise moment when you felt, the need to work on your own songs? You were, in a sense, born a songwriter, a more like an instinctive, spontaneous one, or a more selective and thoughtful one? How do you describe yourself?
All of my songs come from personal experience. I never just sit and try to write something. Okay. So it's not like I'm, trying to construct something in the way that, someone writing a book or a story would. I always wait for the songs to find me. Yeah. I think this way the material is always honest and true, and it's always got a huge amount of me in the material, okay. Rather than me writing a song about a man who has a situation. I wait for my situation and I write about that instead.
And you said you started as a drummer with drums, and do you think that the fact that slide guitar has become your language is because there's a lot of rhythm in it and it's like in your DNA?
Yeah, I think that's why I chose to play with the guitar on my lap, because with this, using a tool and hitting down on the strings from the top means that essentially both hands. It is like playing a hand drum,
Yeah.
So for me, I love to play guitar regular style too, and I have a rhythmic style with this as well. But with the slide guitar thing, it's definitely because I'm a drummer,
Yeah. Okay. You started, if I'm correct, with cover versions of songs from other artists, from Hendrix to Michael Bublé, which is more modern.
Michael Bublé?
Yeah.
Which Michael Bublé song do I play?
That's what I actually read. You just.
Oh no! I think you're talking about Moondance, because he did a version of that.
Okay.
But that's Van Morrison.
Okay, so it's but maybe the people know in that version much better now, so that's why maybe they wrote that it's a Michael Bublé song.
I love Michael Bublé.
Okay, well, he's a great singer, but I think another genre.
We're in different worlds. I think,
but how do you pick actually the right songs to be, if I can say, broadbentized, because you gave very special treatment to the music, even if it's not your own music, and how the whole process works.
Well, I think I just play songs that I love, and I play songs that I think people maybe don't know as well. I've always played "On the Road Again" by Candid since playing the slide guitar stuff, because it's a great song. It seems to sit somewhere between the Delta blues and Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac and everything. It seems to be right in the middle of it, and everybody can connect with it. And I don't know, I always try and choose songs that maybe aren't the most obvious choices, and also ones that, I suppose, if you look back and you think about, like Jimi Hendrix, you mentioned. I mean, he used to play Bob Dylan songs, and he'd play all kinds of stuff, Cream songs, and I think he said at one point, it's like sometimes you hear a song and you think, oh yeah, I want to give people my version of that one, Like, I think sometimes it's a song where you hear it and you think, oh man, I wish I'd written that one. Well, I can play it, So,
yeah. You grew up with a diet of music made of John Lee Hooker, Peter Green, as you already mentioned, Jimi Hendrix, Robert Johnson, and Crosby, Stills, Nash Young, mostly. Are they still your main influences, and which portrait of each and every one of them features in your new album?
I still listen to all that music, yeah. And I also like some pretty obscure stuff as well. I like those are the artists that are probably closest to what I like to play. So they're a good representation if you ask me what my influences are. But I mean, I used to listen to Steely Dan every day from being 14 till till now.
Every day?
I was obsessed with Steely Dan.
Oh my God.
And just because of the level of playing and, you know, there weren't a band, there were just musicians coming in and you know, they would only choose the best players. And I loved that when I was growing up. Me and my friends would sit around and listen to this stuff and just dream that one day, you know, maybe someone would sit and listen to our music in the same way and love it the same way. With Portrait and that album, I mean, there's a lot of influence from all kinds of stuff. I mean, some of the more acoustic material on there. I love Joni Mitchell, I love Neil Young, and I love that whole, you know, acoustic approach to songwriting. But then I also love Captain Beefheart and I love Rage Against the Machine. So there's a couple of songs in there that with that album that probably you know come from that my lust to you know give that vibe out. You know.
All right. So is Rage Against the Machine the most modern artist in your iPod or something like that?
Yeah, they probably are actually. Yeah.
Okay.
I just like the power.
And considering your style, do you think that instinct and feeling are equally important as technique, or it's like one is more important than the other?
More important. Instinct and feeling is technique. Okay. You know, I think if you're just technique, then it's nothing. It's like a plate without any food on it. You know. Okay.
Very clear message. Okay. So you have a very strong fan base that counts, you know, millions of clicks on YouTube. Any famous name among your fans that surprised you in particular, maybe with flattering comments that you can mention?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Well, I got a little message. A friend of mine was touring with the Blues Brothers band. They still go out and play. And he played one of my videos to Steve Cropper from Booker T and the MGs and all that stuff. And he sent me a video message saying, you know, peace and love, keep playing the blues. And also the piano player from the Blues Brothers. And
that sounds like a blessing.
That was amazing. And also I got some pretty good quotes from Bootsy Collins, who was the bass player for James Brown and also for Parliament Funkadelic, and he said some really nice things about me and shared videos of me on his page, and you know that was just. Yeah, my dad, my father, he can't believe it. You know, it's just crazy, that kind of thing. You know, I did a tour in the summer with Lynyrd Skynyrd in America, and again they said some really cool things. And you know.
All right. So since you've done already a lot of things and you had such flattering comments, what's your next goal, and how do you imagine yourself in 10 years?
In 10 years?
Yeah. Too long?
Hopefully, yeah. Well, hopefully I'm still here. I'll be alive. That'll be good. My next goal, I just want to keep taking this wherever it's going. It's obviously leading me somewhere. Yeah. And right now it's taking me all over the world for the first time. And I look forward to revisiting those things with more, you know, and it grow. And I look forward to the day when I can, you know, go to any city and know that I've got a big gig ready and you know, some nice people to meet for the second, third, fourth time. You know.
Good. So last two questions for today. Which was the best part about being on the road with Lynyrd Skynyrd and Peter Frampton, and how was the reaction of their fans to your music?
The best part of that was just the whole experience, but seeing how a tour of that size works and seeing how much hard work from everybody, from the tour managers to the band. You know, I got to travel with the crew as well, so I got to see how, you know, 10 people can erect a stage in half an hour, make it look absolutely incredible, and you're doing a sound check within, you know, a couple of hours. It's amazing. And, you know, the reactions of their crowds gave me a very strong American fan base. You know, just from those shows alone, most of the shows were 17,000 people.
Wow.
So, you know, I was taking home a couple of thousand from each. Well, you know, a good chunk of their audience have climbed on board.
Good. And raised in rural England, as you were, from your point of view, what's the worst move for the world now between Brexit and Donald Trump elected as the 45th president of the United States of America?
What's the worst move?
Yeah.
Donald Trump is the worst thing that's ever happened to the world.
Okay. Clear message. Okay. Thanks very much,
Thank
Jack,
you so much for having
time.
me. This has been wonderful.
See you tonight at the show.
I can't wait.
Thank you.
Bye.